Hi, it's Mandy McIntosh. Welcome to part two of my series, Ghost Voices and Maps, my investigation of the Oddfellows coffin at Sleeper Mortuary. Today, I am going to share with you some never before heard audio from my investigation and also tell you what it was like investigating over at Sleeper Mortuary, so stay tuned. Before we begin on part two, let's briefly recap part one of the series. So, in part one, I told you about the directions that the Shawnee Native American that lives on my property gave me, which meant absolutely nothing to me on my way to Iola, Kansas. But as it turns out, it is connected to the Sax Trail. And that Sax Trail is important because it was used by the Sax chief Black Hawk during the Black Hawk Wars. And Black Hawk ended up in the Des Moines, DeSoto area of Iowa, and that turns out to be a significant place for us. And today you're going to learn why. So let's start off with just Sleeper Mortuary in general. I did not investigate every room that there was to investigate at Sleeper, and that made me horribly sad. But my job there was to find out about this coffin and spend as much time with it as possible and get as much evidence from it as possible. And that is what I did. So unfortunately, this beautiful room behind me is the chapel area, and I did not get to investigate it. It definitely has some energy associated with it. Walked past it numerous times. So definitely, it is going to be a hot spot for folks. But the place that I think is probably the most haunted of Sleeper Mortuary is definitely the basement. Now, I believe that there's an elemental in the basement. He matches up with an elemental, what an elemental looks like to me, that I had on a residential case that I worked. He is a shadow figure. He gets very tall and then very short, and he runs very fast. Most people are going to think he's a horrible negative entity, and if you're somebody that goes to demons, that might be where your mind drifts to. But he is just a elemental. He is a protector of the land, and he is associated with the elements, water, air, fire. So he has always been with that earth. Now, will he knock somebody down? I believe he probably would. He's not exactly a hospitable character. I was able to move the equipment over to where I saw him running and I caught him. And he had some not nice words to say to us, which you can check out on my TikTok channel and my other social medias. I think I have it posted here on YouTube as well. So go check that out. It was a really cool piece of evidence for me. Do first is if you could turn your flashlight on so I don't fall on anything. Oh, and then I fall on something anyway of that time. I just moved two down there. Do we have anything else we can move down there? Let's see. What about?
And there's this, the Smoky Tree Roadhog.
Okay.
Don't put that.
18 plus. 27 to 4.
Are you following? Oh, none of us. I was nauseous. But I can tell them.
Action of 4.
There's a bunch of us in here.
There we go. There's your other one.
Miss Fielson.
Can you step up? Thank you.
We still have EMF.
Bullshit!
It's bullshit.
Um, That basement, though, definitely has the feel of a horror movie. We had something banging down there for over 30 seconds, which is a little unusual. Things don't normally go on for that long in the paranormal world. And I really did feel like I was in a horror movie and thought about leaving. So that is also unusual for me to do on a case. But we stuck it out and we investigated to see what was making the sound and could not find anything. The flower room is another really great hot spot that I got some evidence that I will be sharing with you when I start talking about the secret societies that I'm studying. And just in general, it's got a great vibe everywhere. So, let's just get down to. I also want to mention Tori is an amazing hostess. There is a full kitchen, and it is very well taken care of. She's put a lot of love and care into this building. So, she's a pleasure to work with. So, I am putting her address in the description box. You can actually book online with her. You can do a night there. You can do a day tour. There's a lot of different options for you there. So make sure you check that out. And let's go ahead and get started with the coffin. Now, I arrived to Sleeper Mortuary past midnight and Tori was waiting for me. We did some investigation that night and we did get a few things. If you've been paying attention to me in this investigation, we essentially have no video footage. Tori had security cameras going, so we figured they're picking up everything for us. As she was in the process of downloading that to her phone, they somehow all got wiped out. I took two handheld cameras. One of them was perfectly fine when we left West Virginia. When I got to Kansas, it was corrupted and would not work. The other one would not charge for over a day, and I finally got it charged. Now, guys, I am not the best with new technology, and I'll be the first to admit that. But I was a producer in college of our news channel, and I worked in a television studio attached to my high school. I know how to turn a camera on. I've been doing this 19 years and hit the record button. I got it. But apparently, none of it recorded. Now, I do have somebody trying to see if they can somehow find it. Maybe it just got like flipped somewhere up in a cloud. But right now, there's no visual evidence. We're listening to audio. I did take some pictures, fortunately, of different things. So we do have some pictures to show you at least the setup of things. But you are going to be listening to audio for evidence. Um, One of the names that's heard quite often and also piqued my interest in this case is the name Mary, which we're going to find out in a minute why that is important for me. And we did get that as soon as I walked in. We got the name Mary. So we went ahead and went to sleep. And then the next morning, I woke up and had breakfast with the coffin. So, my main goal during that time was to make things very peaceful. I initially felt the night before that we were very overwhelming. Um, and whoever was associated with that room was very scared. So I wanted to make this as peaceful a time as possible and just very relaxed and informal. And I wanted to find out what tribe she was with. So what I did was to start naming the tribes. Now, as far as equipment setup goes, I had some tracker lights on the ground by the coffin. I had an EMF actually setting on the coffin. I had an Ovilus running and then also a voice recorder running. The only tribe that I got any reaction to was the Sioux tribe. So the first thing that I did was ask her to light up the light. And you're going to hear me, thankfully, talking you through this. She had gotten the light up to orange for another question. And I asked her if she was Sioux to make it go to red and stay there. Now the light flickered for a little bit, and so that's not an answer for me. It's got to go red. And she was able to get it to stay red for me. And then I asked her if she would confirm that through the EMF detector and make that go off, which she did. And then, probably out of frustration with me, I actually hear the word Sue. Now, I hear a male's voice saying it on the Ovilus, but we did get the word Sue as well. And I'm going to let you listen to that now.
If you're with the Sioux tribe, can you turn the lights off? I've heard that same voice several times. That was a pop in the ceiling. Are you from the Sioux tribe? Can you light up the light by the casket if you're from the Sioux tribe? I see that one down there going to red. Can you make the one by the cat go red if you're from the Sioux tribe? We're starting to get more. If I should be looking at the Sioux tribe, can you make those lights go red?
Okay.
So Luke said, okay.
Nightfall. Living in.
Just focus on that one light. If you can make it go completely red if you're from the Sioux tribe. Okay, we've got the red light. Can you make the light by the cat go off if you're from the Sioux tribe?
Right.
Right?
Believe. So,
Thought I heard Sue.
uh,
Yes, yeah.
Now, another thing you're going to notice in this picture is the little orange cat, and his official name from Beanie Babies or wherever he is from is Mango. And that was what I had on me at the time. I wanted to give her a gift and make her feel comforted and that I wasn't a threat to her, and just kind of make friends with her, really. So I did get an interesting piece of footage after, or footage audio after I put Mango on the coffin, and it is definitely an intelligent response. It's really cool. I want you to listen to that now.
Do you like the cat?
some real.
I think it said some milk. You want the cat to have some milk? Yes. That is very nice of you to care about him getting some milk.
So, the next pieces of evidence I have to share with you are from what's called a medicine wheel. And before I go into explaining what a medicine wheel is, I want to explain why they are a thing for me, because I often get told that this is cultural appropriation. So, I am throwing a picture of my grandmother, Mary, which, as you know, we got the name Mary by the coffin. Um, she very much so looks Native American, so much so that when I was younger, we used to have Native Americans ask her what tribe she was from. So we just always assumed that we had some Native American in us. We weren't sure what tribe or where from, but we just assumed we did because of the way she looked. As it turns out, that is Greek coloring. We all have some DNA spread out over into Croatia and like Sardinia, I believe it is. And we are not any percent Native American, even like 0.0001%. They did not have those kits available back in the day, so I grew up believing we had some Native American heritage. One day in second grade, we did totem pole animals, and I feel like in this day and age, our teacher probably would have been crucified. But I really enjoyed learning about that, and I've used that in my life ever since. I generally did reflections with it when I did volunteer service and things like that, and they just really grew on me, and I've read about them and studied them for a long time. And I didn't find out we didn't have any Native American in us back until like 2000, maybe 19 or so. So that is why I do Native American stuff. I'm not trying to appropriate anybody's culture. If there's anything I'm doing wrong and you see this video and know that I'm doing it wrong, please reach out to me and let me know because I don't want to be doing things wrong. Now, for the medicine wheel, I do want to go ahead and give you a little bit of information about it. And I guess before I go there, I should let you know that the night I found out about Sleeper Mortuary was actually working on spirit animal medicine will stuff. And then they told me they had gotten the name Mary. Now, I do not believe by any means that my grandmother is hanging out in Iola, Kansas, but I just thought that that was some big synchronicities and I needed a project because I was very depressed and this became my project. So I do want to tell you about the medicine wheel. If you want to read about it in depth and understand spirit animals and why I'm okay with them even as a Christian, you can jump over to my website. I've got some cool articles there. You can also see what reports I offer. I do offer the medicine wheel, but I offer a few other psychology reports with the spirit animals as well. But just to give you an idea of what medicine wheels are, I'm going to put one up on the screen. Now, medicine wheels can be used as a physical location like this picture, and this is a sacred space. This is out in Wyoming. It's one of the last medicine wheels left and also the largest. Or it can be a mental construct like this. So basically, the medicine wheel is a circle and it is divided into four quadrants. And they will always be using the colors white, red, black, and yellow. So each quadrant is assigned different aspects that come in fours. For example, the four cardinal directions, the four seasons, the four most popular herbs that Native Americans use, the four aspects of health, and so on. Now, each tribe uses the medicine wheel a little differently. So if you ask one tribe, they might tell you that in the north it is black and that's for physical health. But if you ask another tribe, they might tell you north is red and it's emotional health. So there's definitely variations across the board. I have ones that I have set based on my research of everything and what I felt comfortable with, and that is how I do my medicine wheels. However, this was the very first time I set up a physical medicine wheel, and nervous didn't quite describe what I was feeling the first night because you're setting up a sacred space. But we did set it up. Now, anything that I got from there is more geared towards secret societies, and we're not going to be listening to that today. A lot of it is really undecipherable, if that's a word. So we can't quite understand what's happening there. But again, I might be able to clean that up a little bit so that we can understand it better and release that at a later time. What I'm more interested in telling you about today is the second medicine wheel I did with a little bit more confidence the second night. So let me just jump to our last night of investigation and tell you what all we got. Um, we decided to do the Estes method before we set anything up. Now, if you're not familiar with the Estes method, it is where one person blindfolds themselves. They're going to have on noise canceling headsets, and that is going to be hooked straight into a ghost box. A ghost box just runs the radio back and forth, and you should hear voices, if there's any to hear, in the static. Um, There are other people in the room, or at least one other person in the room with you while you're doing this, and they're asking questions out loud. The goal is that if they ask a question, the person who is not able to hear them and can't see anything is giving an answer that matches. Now, the blindfold and everything does two things. One, it makes sure that we can't decipher what questions are being asked. But if you deprive one of your senses, another sense compensates for that, and it can make your hearing a little more sharp. That's why we use the blindfold. Now, while we were doing the Estes method, my friend said that she asked, "Where are you?" And I said, "Guthrie." And I didn't know what question she asked, but even just hearing Guthrie through the ghost box truly just made me disgusted because I had already searched so hard through Guthrie and had not found any evidence that she was there other than knowing there was an auction house there. So to hear it and then to hear what question it answered just really was frustrating beyond belief. Um, that said, we continued on. So the next thing we did was scry on a map. Now, I had been looking at maps of Iowa and trying to figure things out prior to going out to the mortuary, and I felt like I was too familiar with the map to be valid in anything that I would scry on it. To scry, and I don't have anything here to scry with, so we're going to pretend to use my necklace. Basically, you're going to have some kind of like little crystal or something. It will be on a string, and you're just going to hold it like this. And that will, you will set some boundaries up. Like if it's yes, spin clockwise. If it's no, spin counterclockwise. You might ask the spirit, show me what yes means to you or what no means to you. Or you might just hold it and feel led to drop it someplace, which is what my friend did. So she dropped it, and we started to call out cities in the area that she dropped it. And when we called out DeSoto, every piece of equipment I had set up went off. And we're talking tracker lights, a K2, an EMF, and a REM pod. That's unheard of. So I just automatically assumed that something man-made had happened. They can be set off by solar flares. Sometimes emergency equipment will set them off. Any kind of power surge might set them off. And so I just kind of figured that's what happened since that was so odd. Again, I've done this 19 years and I've never had that happen. So I waited a good chunk of time and then said, "So you want me to go to DeSoto?" And everything went off again and continued to do so with consistency, to the point that it was just mind-boggling to see happen. We went ahead at that point and set up the medicine wheel. And while I was in the wheel, I did see a Native American girl. Now, I have seen dead people. It is actually my very first memory, and I described it, what it looked like from my crib, and was able to tell people like where things were in the room. So I was roughly 3 years old when I can remember seeing dead people. I typically have things pop over to my house because they know I can see them. And on investigations I've been on, there have been things that happen out in the community that they see that we're trying to communicate, and they will come into that building even though they originally didn't have anything to do with that building. It is very possible that setting up a Native American medicine wheel and having that environment going on brought us a spirit from the land. So I'm not comfortable saying that I know she goes with that coffin, but it surely did feel like it to me. She did not speak at all. She would not speak. However, she walked around me and she played with my hair and touched my face, which are all claims that seem to happen on that floor of Sleeper Mortuary. Um, What's really cool is that you can hear the REM pod going off, and it does this for 7 minutes, not continuously, but every time she makes a circle around me, you can hear the REM pod go off. because she had to walk right beside of it. I'm not going to play all 7 minutes of video for you. I kind of want you to hear what was happening during the medicine wheel and get to hear that REM pod go off. This is not something I've released prior. You're going to hear the Native American flute medicine going, or flute music going, not medicine. We are sitting in the medicine wheel and we are meditating, which is what you would do inside a medicine wheel. I did do a reading for her while I was out there after we were wrapping up, and then we broke down the wheel. So here is the audio of what happened while I was in the medicine wheel. Now, thankfully, I asked one last time about DeSoto because this is the only audio we have. Since all the footage is gone, I recorded all of that with the video camera, was holding it in my hand while I recorded it. But you will hear me ask her if I'm supposed to go to DeSoto and get information, and you'll hear the equipment going off. I know you can't see the tracker lights and things like that, but here is that clip.
We're going to go try to find information for you in DeSoto. Is that okay? Would you like us to go find information in DeSoto? Okay. We're gonna leave tomorrow, okay? We'll let Miss Tori know.
So obviously we headed out to DeSoto, and I'm going to tell you what we found in part 3. So stay tuned for part 3. Make sure you check out Sleeper Mortuary. You can find all of my social links and sign up for my mailing list on my website. Both of those are in the description link. If you see something happening down here, it is a cat's tail. It is not paranormal. Um, and please like and subscribe this video. I will see you next time for part 3.